one of the biggest demand by the end user is customization of the SharePoint site. So probably you would like to move the left menu to the right side, you would like to change colors, you would like to change the look and feel, etc. So the good news is that this is all possible due to our friend, that is SharePoint Designer, right? So in this video we will try to understand that how do we customize SharePoint pages using the SharePoint Designer. So what we'll do is we'll take the same site which we had been discussing, that is the HR and the accounts portal, and we'll try to do some kind of customization on those sites. Now the first point to remember about a SharePoint page is that SharePoint page at the end of the day is a simple ASP.NET page. So that's the first important point to remember about SharePoint pages. The second important point to remember about SharePoint pages are all SharePoint pages come from master page. Now I hope that everybody understands the master page concept. Now this concept is it actually comes from ASP.NET. Master page helps you to define a common structure across your site. For example, in your master page probably you can define something like this, that okay, here's my left menu, then here's my banner, right, and here's my right menus will come, and this is the place where the main data will be hosted, etc. Now this structure will get applied to the pages so that all your page in your site have a common look and feel, or I'll say a common structure. So master page is a ASP.NET concept which actually helps you to define what you call a uniform structure for your pages. So point number one, all pages in SharePoint are simple ASP.NET pages. Point number two, every page in SharePoint, right, always has a master page which defines the structure of that page. And the third important point to remember about SharePoint pages are, whenever you want to push any custom functionality on the child page, or I'll say on the final page, or on the concrete page which will be displayed on the user, is by using a web part. So at the end of the day, if you want to insert a calendar functionality, or let's say if you want to insert a data grid or a list or whatever, right, or even your own custom logic, it has to be a web part. So if you remember, right, in a previous video we showed actually how to use or how to go and implement your own custom functionality by using a web part. So three important points. SharePoint pages at the end of the day are simple ASP.NET pages. They all implement a common structure by using the master page. And the final one is, whenever you want to push a custom functionality, it is by using a web part. So till now whatever we discussed was complete ASP.NET basics, that is master pages, web parts, and blah blah blah. Okay, but now SharePoint has some surprises for us. Any SharePoint page are further categorized into two categories. One is uncustomized pages, and the other one is called as customized pages. Now when you create a new site in SharePoint, it creates a lot of pages like the master page, home page, default pages, etc. right? All these pages are called as uncustomized pages. In other words, if you actually go to the physical directory of SharePoint, we are going to see that in the demo, you can actually see those pages. So these pages are also called as physical pages. Okay, now when you take one of these pages and you start customizing it, okay, you start changing it. Now these changes what you make to these pages are not directly made on these physical pages. In other words, it doesn't go and start changing these physical pages. Okay, these changes are actually stored into the content database, into SQL Server, the content database of SharePoint. Okay, so in other words, you can think that these physical pages or these uncustomized pages are like a blueprint, which cannot be changed. Okay, and whenever you make changes, right, it actually gets stored in the content database. Now if anyone requests these customized pages or the pages which you have changed, right, what it will do is it will take these changes, it will take this blueprint, it will tie them together and send it to the end user. Now the pages which are changed are called as customized pages, right? So uncustomized pages means pages which are physical copy which are actually blueprints which will never change, while customized pages means basically changes which are stored into content database. Now there are some different names also used for these vocabularies, that is uncustomized pages and customized pages. So whenever we are discussing SharePoint henceforth, right, in the remaining videos, these vocabularies we are going to use again and again. Uncustomized pages in SharePoint world are also called as application pages. Okay, so whenever I say that this is an application page, in other words I'm saying that this is a physical page, it's a blueprint, it will never change. Okay, also they call it as site definition, while customized pages are called as site pages. So henceforth I will not be using this word customized pages or uncustomized pages, but rather I will be using these vocabularies, that is application pages or site pages. And also sometimes when we click on the menus, you will see this word site definition. So whenever you see this word site definition, it means that we are talking about uncustomized pages. So let's do some practicals here. Now let's take the same HR and accounting page, the website which we were discussing till now. So what we'll do here is we will try to customize the Quest HR page. Okay, so following other customization we'll try to do. First thing is we'll remove this recycle all site content, this menu from the home page. Second is probably we'll do something like this. This menu you can see over here, right? This menu we would like to see over here. So for example, we would like to see the resume management here, we would like to see the employee database here. So we would like to delete this menu from here and we'd like to put this menu on the top. Okay, second probably we'll also do something. We'll go and change some colors here, okay, of the site. Okay, some color modification. So three kinds of changes we want to do. First thing is we would like to go and delete this all site content. Probably we would like to get rid of this menu from here completely, and this complete menu we would like to locate it on the top bar. And second, we would like to do some kind of color customization. Now in order to customize the Quest HR site, we need to open this site on the SharePoint Designer, in the SharePoint Designer. So click on Site Actions. You can see that there is a Edit SharePoint Designer over here. Now SharePoint Designer is a separate tool altogether. So in other words, this tool is not installed if you installed the TFS server or Visual Studio. So you need to go and download the SharePoint Designer. So once you install SharePoint Designer, you should see the SharePoint Designer in your program file, something like this. Okay, so let's go ahead first and let's go ahead and edit this site in the SharePoint Designer. So click on Edit SharePoint Designer. So it will take some time to open. So you can see that SharePoint Designer has started. Now because you are editing the site, definitely you need to put your credentials. So I'm going to say administrator and password 123. Right. So you can see that now what it's doing is it's actually going and opening this site Quest HR website. It's loading all the website contents and it will show us all the pages inside the SharePoint Designer. So let's give some time to open. So that's our site edited in SharePoint. Now probably at the first glance it would look very complicated. Probably you would think that there are so many menus here and it's quite complicated, but it is not. If you remember the theory what we have discussed till now, if you remember those important points, then working with SharePoint Designer is pretty easy. Now remember that SharePoint Designer, do not start comparing it with Front Page or Dreamweaver or any kind of editing tool. Okay, why? Because Dreamweaver, Front Pages, these programs, right, they help you to edit HTML. Okay, but here the site is pretty complicated, right? The pages are pretty complicated. So that's why you need to remember the theory what I have discussed till now. And so I have spent so much time in discussing about the theory before even I land on this SharePoint Designer tool. So if you remember, right, we had four or five important points. The first one, every page in SharePoint comes from a master page. Point number one. Point number two, every page has web parts, and inside the web parts is where our logic resides. Third point, every master page in SharePoint, right, has placeholders, where you actually go and put your pages, okay, put your appropriate sections. And fourth one, if you remember, we talked about the customized and the uncustomized pages, or you can think about the application pages and the site pages. So these four fundamentals, will serve as our guidelines, when we edit any kind of page in SharePoint, okay, in the SharePoint Designer. Now, don't get confused with all these menus over here. Currently, just concentrate on two menus. One is the site pages, okay, and the other one is the master pages. Now, the master pages folder has all the master pages which your Quest HR site has. So as we said previously also, right, that every page in SharePoint actually comes from a master page, right? So this master pages folder has everything, it has all the master pages which your SharePoint pages uses, and the site pages has your pages of the site. For example, if you remember, right, the Quest HR site, you can see that there's a resumes.aspx here. So you can see that there is a resumes.aspx here also. In the same way, you can see that there is a net salary calculator.aspx here. Okay, so if you click on this, that's net salary calculator.aspx. So again, you have net salary calculator.aspx. All of these pages actually come from a master page, and all these master pages are lying in this directory. Now, one more important point here. In the previous sections of the video, right, we had discussed about customized and uncustomized pages, where we said that the uncustomized pages are called as application pages and the customized pages are called as site pages. Now, don't confuse this site pages with those site pages, okay? This site page is actually the site pages of a site, while those site pages are customized pages. So don't confuse this vocabulary with that, okay? So we have, we are going to concentrate on two sections, at least for this practical: site pages and the master pages. Now, if you look at our requirement, right, what we said is that we want to go and edit this menu and move this menu on the top here, requirement 1. Second, we said we want to delete this recycle bin section and the all site content, and third, we said we want to put some colors here. Now, all this customization, if you look at, right, is customizing on the master page, because this left menu, this top bar, everything comes actually from a master page. So in other words, we need to actually go to this folder and customize the master page, which is which has been used in our Quest HR site. Now, you must be wondering that why do we have 3 master pages here? Now, each of these master pages are useful under certain situations or under under certain scenarios. Let's understand each one of them. For example, let's first start with v4.master page. Now, the v4.master page is the default page which is used when you create any page in SharePoint. So for example, when you go to the SharePoint site and when you say create a page from here, or probably when you create a site, right, all the pages by default will be using this v4.master page. Okay, the second page is the default.master. Now, this default.master page has a look and feel of SharePoint 2007. So in case you are doing migration, right, from SharePoint 2007 to 2010, all of your pages initially will be using this default.master page, and then later you can go and customize it and give it a look and feel of 2010. So the default.master page is nothing but basically it's a SharePoint 2007 master page look and feel. The minimal.master page is having very less navigation links. For example, let's say that you have a page where you want to have search functionality. Now, if you look at a typical search functionality, you just need one text box and one search button, right? So in those kind of pages, you would like to have a master page which doesn't have a lot of links and a lot of navigation links. So for those kind of scenarios, you'll be using the minimal.master page. So for now, as I said that by default v4.master page is used, so we need to go and edit this v4.master page in order to customize this menus and customize this site, right? So let's right click on the v4.master page and edit the file in advanced mode. So let's click on that. So there's our page which is edited. Now let's try to see some important menus and important points which will help us to work with SharePoint Designer very quickly. The first thing is, you can see at the down below there are 3 views by which you can view a page in a SharePoint Designer. The first one is a design view, which you are currently seeing it. The second one is a code view, where you actually see the tags which form of the master page of SharePoint. So you can see that that's the actual code view. And second one is a split view. In split view, you actually see both the design as well as the code. For example, here you can see that there's the design view down and the code view at the top. So for example, if I want to quickly go to the sitemap data source tag, if I click on this, right, it quickly takes me to the sitemap data source tag. So depending on how you want to work, or depending on your situation, you can use the design split and the code, as per your demand. Now the second important menu is the visual aids. Okay. Now you can see that when I open the page in the design mode, it is very much cluttered. It has placeholders, it has div tags, it has the script manager, web part manager. I'm not sure how I can go and design this page, because I see a lot of things over here, which is it is not giving me a clear view of where to click and what to delete and what to add, right? So for that, what you can do is you can downsize this view, or you can simplify this view by clicking on the view menu, and you can see that there's a visual aids tab here. So click on this visual aids tab, and you can see that, okay, I don't want to see the CSS tags in the design mode. I don't want to see the hidden elements. So I can go and disable all of them, and now you can see that I have a pretty much decent view. Okay, so all the script managers and content placeholders, everything has gone off. Okay. Now the next thing what you can see over here is the next point which you can see here is that there are a lot of placeholders here. For example, placeholder site name, placeholder title in area, placeholder search area, placeholder horizontal nav, top nav bar, left nav bar. Now these placeholders actually belong to the master pages. As we said previously also, that master pages are comprised of placeholders, and inside the placeholders you actually place the content. Now the next important rule here to remember is never ever delete these placeholders. If you delete these placeholders, then SharePoint will not be able to render your master page. Okay. So in case you want to get rid of a placeholder, the maximum you can do is make it visible false. So for example, I'm clicking on this placeholder quick launch bottom. So if I click on this, if I go to the properties, I can maximum make it visible false here, but not delete it. Now one of the customizations which we want in this page is that we want to get rid of this all recycle bin, the recycle bin and the all site content. Okay. Now in order to just be sure that you don't go and delete the placeholders, like for example, it's possible that when I click on this recycle bin, probably, and when I hit the delete button, it's very much possible that I can go, it can go and delete the placeholder quick launch bottom also unknowingly. So for that, what you can do is that when you select this, right, at the bottom you can see that there is a small menu here which says that currently which tag have you highlighted. For example, I have clicked on this recycle bin, and you can see that it's telling me that you have clicked on the SharePoint clustered SP link button. Okay, the link it's actually the link recycle bin link. Okay, so I can go here, right click and remove this. So with this, what will happen is I'm not going and touching the placeholder. Okay, I'm exactly going to the tag and removing it. Remove tag. In the same way, for example, like the all site content. Okay, so you can see that over here again it's a nav link, and it says me that this is the all site content. Okay, so right click and remove this tag. And here what I will do is, for this placeholder I will make it false, so that I don't see any kind of white areas or something. So my mouse. Okay, right click, properties, right. So I'll say here visible false. Right, now let me save this page. Okay, now this is one more interesting point here. Now as I said previously that there are two kinds of pages. One is the uncustomized page, and the other one is a customized page. Now, and we said that the customized pages are nothing but when you start making the changes, those changes are actually stored into content database, and your actual physical file or your actual application pages are not touched. So you can see that now I have done the changes, and I'm hitting the save. It has popped up me a box saying that saving your changes will customize this page, so that it is no longer based on site definition, but it is actually a customized page. Okay, so and if you remember right, we had said previously that whenever you see this word site definitions or application pages, this means that those pages are uncustomized pages. So currently, because I'm customizing my page, what it is telling me is that you are trying to create a new page altogether, which is now no more dependent on the site definition. So in other words, we are actually creating a custom page. So I'm going to say yes, I want to go and modify this. So yes, right. So that saves it. Now in order to check in this changes what you have made, you need to actually go and first check out the page. So I'm going to click on this V4 master, right click and check out. right? So this will take a bit time, right? So you can see that there's a green mark here saying that this page is now checked out. So I'm going to say right click and check in, and removed the quick launch menu, the bottom quick launch, right? And I'm going to say I'll keep the file checkout because I still need to do a lot of other changes, for example the menus, etc. So I'm going to keep the file checkout for now. So I say okay. So there's it checked in. Now let's go to our Quest HR page. Let's do a refresh. Now what should happen is, this recycle bin should go out from here. So refresh here. I hope we don't get any kind of errors. So what we have done is, we have ensured that we don't delete the placeholders, and we have made the placeholders false, rather than deleting it. So you can see that over here now. You can see we have deleted the you can see that the recycle bin as well as the all site content has gone off, and the placeholder is not seen anymore. Now the next change is basically we want to move this menu, this resume management employee database, on the top bar. So let's go ahead and do the customization. So let's again go back to our SharePoint designer. Now what we would like to do here is we would like to remove this top menu from here, and we would like to move this bottom menu to the top menu, right? Now one very noticeable thing about these menus are, if you go to the properties, right, it actually uses the sitemap. Sitemap is nothing but it's a source from where you get the resumes and employee database and salary, these all text. It's like a source from where you get all this text. So we would like to ensure that when we move these menus, when we delete this top menu, we don't go and touch those sitemaps. So what I'll do is I'll go to my view first, and I will just enable all my displays over here. So I'm going to go and say all my displays. So you can see that now I also see the sitemap here. For example, this left menu, right, it uses this quick launch sitemap. This top menu, it actually uses the top sitemap. So now we can also see that the sitemaps, so that we don't go and delete unnecessarily any sitemap, and which can cause errors. Okay, so this visual aids is a very important menu here, which will help you to downsize the view, or it will help you to also go and show you an in-depth view of how your page looks like, okay, or what kind of elements you have in the page. So very useful tool, visual aids. Every time you find that there is a confusion, or every time you find that you want to make your view more simpler, you can always take the help of this menu, right? So let's select the top bar, the top menu, and let's remove it. So that's the first step we'll do. Remove this tag, remove tag. Now the next step is we would like to move this menu to the top bar. So let's move it. And also I would like to move this sitemap at the side, right? So sitemap, there it goes. And I would like to flatten this menu because this will look very odd. So I'm going to go and say that the orientation is horizontal, and let me save this, save yes, and let me check in. Okay, now let's go to our page, our Quest HR page, and let's see if our display changes. So refresh. Oops, we have done something funny here. It says this quick launch sitemap is already used by some other control, but I think that control is deleted, and looks like we have deleted the sitemap control. So that's why it's very essential that we don't go and delete anything funny around here. I think when I was moving the sitemap, I created a problem. So let me again go and move this sitemap here, and let me again go and move this data source also here, right? My data source, right? So my data source is intact, my menu is intact. Okay, you have to be very careful when you move your mouse here and there, because now you just saw, right, I just moved the data source at the top and suddenly the data source was deleted. So let me just save this, check this out, and let me check in this, and now let me go to my page. I hope that error goes off. So refresh.
Ooh, so you can see that my menu is at the top and my bottom menu has been moved on the top menu. Now let's go and change the color over here. Probably this is white color where I see this Quest HR. I would like to change it to some kind of a light blue color or a light green color must be. So there's our Quest HR. Okay, text. Now this Quest HR text is actually accommodated inside a TD tag. You can see td.s4 title text, which I can see down below. So I'm going to right click it. I'm going to go to the tag properties and I'm going to change this background color over here. So I'm going to say background color. Let's take this color, say OK, apply. Right, so you can see the color is changed. I'm going to save this. I'm going to check in this. So I'm going to check out and then check in, say OK, and let's go and refresh this. So you can see that the color is changed. In the same way, you can change this color, you can change the menu color, and everything you can customize, as per your wish. Now, in our previous section of the video, we discussed about customized pages and uncustomized pages, if you remember. So we said that uncustomized pages are physical pages, they are blueprint, and when we start customizing those pages or when we start changing those pages, customized pages are created and those changes are actually stored into content database. So the next question you will ask me is that, so this change what we have done currently, can I just go and revert back to the main page or to the physical page or to the blueprint page or to the application page? Yes, you can. So if you go to your site definition here, your SharePoint designer here, right click on your v4.master and you can see here reset to site definition. Okay, so if you also remember, right, I told that the uncustomized pages are also termed as application pages and they are also termed as site definitions. So I'm going to say yes, I want to go back and reset to my site definition, that is to my original master page. So reset to site definition, yes. Now the time I reset this page, right, you can see that it has created a copy of the master page here, or the copy of the page which we have changed, so that we don't lose our changes, right? So now if I go and refresh this whole thing, it will now actually go back and revert to my main site. Oops, let me just refresh this again. Let me go back here, refresh. Right, so you can see that it has reverted the complete changes back to the original page or to the original master page which was initially provided by SharePoint 2010. Now if you're really enthusiastic or if you're really curious to know that where these physical pages actually lie, let's go to our computer, let's go to C, program files. I hope I remember the path, common files, Microsoft shared, web server extensions, 14, template and global. Yeah, so there's our physical file. You can see physical file, you can say application pages, you can say site definitions, you can say uncustomized pages, whatever you want to name these pages as. Okay, so these pages are actually a blueprint, and the time when I go and start modifying over here, right, it actually takes those changes and pushes to the content database, but it never goes and updates these pages, right? So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Now before I conclude this video, I would like to just reiterate some very important points which we have discussed till now, right from the start of the video. So point number 1, all pages in SharePoint come from master pages. Point number 2, all master pages have placeholders, as you can see on the screen, and you should never go and delete these placeholders. If you don't want the placeholder, you have to say visible false. Point number 3, we have two kinds of pages, customized pages and uncustomized pages. So in any case, so when you take up a page, right, by default, every page is a uncustomized page. It's a physical page. So when you actually go and edit those pages, it actually creates a customized version of it. At any given moment of time, if you want to revert back, you can always click on the file and say reset to site definition. And point number 4, never ever forget the visual aids menu. Okay, the visual aids menu helps you to make your page look more detailed, or it can also help you to make your page look more simpler while doing the designing. So these are like 4 or 5 important points which you can just remember on your head. We are going to look into SharePoint Designer in more depth as we go ahead. So currently in this video I don't want to clutter the main goals by going in depth in each of these menus and trying to lose the main focus. So currently my main goal is to make you up and running with how to use the SharePoint Designer and complete your work. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. In the coming up video, we'll see that how we can understand errors in SharePoint. So when you get an error in a SharePoint screen, like it throws up errors saying correlation ID and this and that, it doesn't throw too many details, right? So how do we go and debug those errors, and how do we go and conclude what those errors actually mean? So in the next video, we're going to talk about how to debug SharePoint errors.